All right, guys. Well, welcome to Vibe, the Drop Zone podcast. A couple of special guests here today. And, of course, as always, my lovely partner, Bobby. Roper Bobby.
There you go.
And then we have Jason Sheets and William Sigley.
That's it.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. And
Pleasure.
cheers for everybody.
We'll do
Cheers.
Cheers with the water.
We'll start later.
Yeah,
Right.
fair enough. All right, so yeah, basically, I was kind of telling you guys a little bit. So I'll be sort of looking at my notes a little bit. This is a new format for me. It's a little bit condensed or whatever to ask you some questions, get to know you, and then, of course, these guys are wonderful. They pull reels from it. We'll send them to you if y'all want to use them. You're welcome to use them in marketing.
On social media too, so we can tag like Roberto's Prime 120.
Absolutely,
all those things. So,
absolutely.
That's how the world gets to know each other these days, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, I'll read a little bit, just kind of getting to know you guys before we started here. Jason, looks like you're a homeboy, Atlanta.
That's it.
Went to Riverwood and Sandy Springs and UGA. Go Dogs.
That's it.
Great. Been in the restaurant business forever. And married with 2 kids, boy and a girl.
That's right.
20 and 19. Good age.
You know, the story I have about Jack Daniels, people tell me that I don't sound like I'm from Atlanta. And I say, well, give me a shot of Jack Daniels, and I'll tell you all what it's all about. I can turn it on with a shot of Jack.
I was going to say, you just need some lubrication, some voice lubrication.
There you go.
I was wondering because, you really don't have much of an accent. You know?
I can turn it on.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, me too. And William, so getting to know you a little bit, born in Colorado.
Yep.
What part of Colorado?
I was born in Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, okay.
Yeah, lived there until I was 16. I didn't see the ocean until I was 21 years old.
That's wild.
People are like, ooh, the mountains, they're great. Oh, they're so beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But that ocean
Right.
is amazing.
Ocean, right. And then moved to Las Vegas for 20 years.
Yeah.
High school there, did some college there,
Yeah.
decided.
A desert rat is what I called myself.
Oh, right on.
Just
Right
live
on.
in the
Is that a
desert.
good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. Still trying to figure that out.
Well, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. And I'm here, and everything's green and lush and beautiful. And
Right on. And did a little bit of college, but that wasn't the route you wanted to pursue.
no,
Right on.
I just was I was drawn in by the restaurant
Right on.
scene, which
That
is
was-
huge out there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Entertainment,
One of
hospitality.
the most
and-
premier restaurant destinations in
Yes.
the world,
for sure.
and so
That sucked you in. Good.
sucked me in. Yeah,
Good. Let's see. Divorced once.
Yep.
Second wife now. 4 kids.
yep,
A boy, 24. 3 girls, 21, 20, and 18.
yeah,
Gotcha. And the boy's in the Navy. We appreciate his service.
yeah. He's an electrician on a nuclear submarine. So he
That-
says he fixes everything from the nuclear reactor to the coffee pot.
Which are both important.
Very
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
Can't run a boat without
What
it.
order?
I was going to
that's
say
right.
which is more important.
Drink
Yeah.
coffee, then fix it.
Listen, I don't want the guys sleepy or ornery, that are running nuclear submarines. I want them, caffeinated.
Yep.
So, well, good. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I like that, and we were kind of kidding about how it's like, it's almost like speed dating or something. But I think it's real important on these things to do that little quickie get to know you, so people know who you are. I think what our background is definitely a kind of thing of who we are now. We're the sum of our experiences. So. And I'll get better, hopefully, at not being so clunky at this kind of thing, as we go along. But being the first.
I think it's good, though, because people know us as the face of the restaurant.
Yeah.
But no history.
Right.
Right.
Right, for sure.
And
And
there
they-
is history.
They may
yeah.
not realize that you're the owners at first. I mean, you're always dressed nice and all that. They may think that you're a manager and
That's
not
right.
an owner.
Because we're
So-
there all
People
the
usually
time.
think
Yeah.
people
All the
at
time.
first think that I'm like the bus boy or the. I get confused for the gardener a lot. I'll be planting flowers in front of the front door. And
You
people
do
walk
have a
in,
gardener vibe.
And, I'll be planting flowers by the front door, and they'll walk in and go, "You're doing a good job." And I play along. I'm like, "Oh, thanks so much."
Yeah, but the things you hear as the gardener
That's
that
what
you
I love.
wouldn't
I
hear
tell
as the
you,
owner.
that's
Super
That's
important.
the secret.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
everybody knows Jason, but me, I'm a little more in the background. I'm a little more
Right on.
quiet and
Yeah.
under the radar. And I just love, one of my favorite things to do is be at our bar and listen to people going back and forth.
No better intel
And
than
there's
that.
no better intel because, the minute they,
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to tables before that have been a problem and they're like, they're really coming at me like, this was terrible. I didn't like this.
Sure.
I'm never coming back. And
Sure.
who are you? And I'm like, well, my name is William. I'm the owner. And they go, oh, well, hello.
wasn't
It's so
that bad.
nice. It wasn't really that bad. So
Interesting.
It's nice to be incognito sometimes.
We're gonna charge you double now.
For sure. So
Behave.
so I have a quick question about that. When you guys get feedback like that or whatever, since we're on this topic, what is your sort of visceral reaction? What is your initial reaction? Are you at first like, wait a minute, another bitchy customer, because there's lots of us these days are that way, right? We're all in that Burger King mentality, I call it, or that social media, I'll send you a bad Yelp rating, or I'll roast you on social media. But how do y'all handle that? Are y'all is your first reaction kind of like, oh, and you have to go back at that, or is your first reaction like, okay, fair enough, let me see how we fix it? I mean, and honestly, what is it honestly?
That's a question to me. You're looking at him. I've got the answer. I'm waiting to hear what you
Yeah,
got to say.
I want to see what you're going to say. 'Cause, go for it.
Well, I mean, you have to gauge each one independently.
Sure.
They're not all the same.
True, very true.
And you process it with the fact that somebody's upset about something, and you got to hear it out. And is somebody being bitchy? Sure, maybe, but at the end of the day, maybe they had a bad day and they're just trying to release, or
Sure.
and then maybe we actually did something wrong. So sure, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, but it's all about hearing, processing. I've been known to have the Crocodile Dundee kind of, you want to bite my head off, but just bring it down.
Yeah, bring it down.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's get to the meat and bones of it.
Right on.
And figure it out.
Yeah, is it somebody just being bitchy or drank too much or
even
having
so,
a bad day or whatever their deal is, or is it a legitimate
but if it's
thing?
you want to tell me about something that's going on, once you get it off your chest, you change.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
That's absolutely true.
I would say I tell a lot of people we're not really in the restaurant business, we're in the people business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
And
We have 100 employees.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
over 100
that's a
employees
lot.
just alone, and then
And everybody's different.
Yeah.
well, in our particular business, everyone that has a business understands that you have to deal with people, and
You
have
bet.
to deal with their issues and their problems,
And in different
But
ways.
Very few of them do you have that issue, and then you mix alcohol on top of it.
But in the restaurant
Right.
business,
Right.
you do.
And then you have some people that you don't. Did they have 4 drinks before they walked in the door?
For sure, yeah. Right
so
on.
it's a really a balancing act of is it a legit concern? We always treat it like it's a legit concern, but like he said, sometimes they just gotta get it out.
Right.
And once they get it out, they're like, okay,
Yeah.
I feel better, and then we're like, okay,
Yeah.
now can we get you what you want?
And there was that
And they
one
go,
time.
oh yeah, okay.
There was that one
easy.
time that I had a bad day, and somebody did come at me like that, and I was like, I'm not gonna put up with it today.
Right.
And I was upset with how I responded.
Right.
I wanted to take it back, and they kind of looked at me and they go, "Well, have you had a bad day?" And I say, "Yes, but I'm over it, and now I'm sorry." Right?
Did you do that
all
right there
Oh,
with them?
sure.
Right on.
You got to swallow it, right?
Right on.
You got to learn to not take it personally.
Yeah.
And we try to tell our service staff that too, because there are a lot of people that will come in and just want to just explode all over. Maybe they got fired today. Maybe they got maybe something bad's happening in their life, and the first person they want to explode all over is their poor server who missed a beat on a drink order or something like that.
Of course.
We roll we roll with it, and it's really about understanding people.
Right on. A little bit of psychology. Do y'all have a training program for your people for that?
Sure do.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Put the ego aside and listen to what they say.
That's it. Yeah. And just
Which
really
is hard to
take
do,
things-
by the way. And like you said, if you're having a bad day because you're people too, it's like,
Yep.
I don't have to.
Right.
So we have it's not always the same New York strip loin that's in the cooler, but that New York strip loin often gets the brunt of lots of abuse. So when somebody gets mad, the server gets all upset. We're like, go.
Yeah.
Go to the
punch
cooler.
it.
Go to the cooler and
Yell
tell
at
that
that.
New York strip what you think about it.
That's right.
And you hear a bunch of screaming in the cooler. They come back and their knuckles might be a little red.
The meat gets really tenderized,
That's right. It's
though,
super
right?
tender.
It's a strategy,
When they
right?
come out, they're just like, whew, I feel good.
Interesting. Cool. Well, let's see here. Next thing. And that sort of hits some of the stuff that I'm going here, so I'm going to have to. I'm going to be very clunky at it, I know, but that sort of hits some of the stuff in here. So, we've kind of gone over what are some things that the listeners might not know about you. So I covered basic stuff, and I'm sure, like, we all have stories we sort of share with people from, our POV, like, this is what I do or who I am, or we normally do that. What is something that people truly don't know about you guys? Maybe y'all don't know about each other.
Oh, we know everything about each other, I think. Yep. That's a tough question.
It is tough when if you think about,
Because
something that's not out
we're very
there.
out there, and we
Yeah.
talk all day long
Sure.
to everybody. So
Sure.
there's not. I mean, I'm kind of what you see is what you get,
Yeah.
all across the board. So super consistent when it comes to how I'm talking to a guest, or how I'm interacting with a friend, or how I'm interacting with a team member.
Of course.
This is it.
Right on.
No skeletons in this closet.
Yeah, that's
How many
No,
skeletons
don't tell that
Oh,
story.
I-
Keep that story.
You know what I should have done is I should have
build a
said,
bigger
tell
closet.
something about each other.
That
right.
would be
Let,
better.
actually, let's do that. Tell me something about him that people, and it doesn't have to be, anything weird or, of course,
Or bad.
or yeah. I mean, just
But it might be more fun that way.
He eats,
No.
he eats mayonnaise and jelly sandwiches in his underwear. I
Well,
don't know.
I'll tell you, we were. This has nothing to do with what you're asking about. It was we were just talking about our kids driving, and he said, "Well, I just tell them to keep it between the mayonnaise and the mustard." I'm like, "What?
Yep.
You know what that means?
Yep.
You
The
keep
white
it
and the
between the yellow
yellow.
and the
Right.
and the white." And I
Right.
had never heard that.
I have not either.
Is that a Colorado thing?
I don't know.
I've never
heard it?
I've never heard it either.
But I knew what you meant. I was like, oh, okay.
And I
And if
I
you
heard
don't,
it.
you're going to see a lot of ketchup.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that is a great little. That's a restaurant
Yeah.
deal right there. Okay, so then tell me something about Jason.
He loves that lake life, man.
Yeah, I do.
He loves that lake life. He's got
Yeah.
a house on the lake now.
Yeah, right on.
He's got a boat. He's got a jet ski, and he just
Know the
when
feeling.
he's not.
We'll have to get together.
You sure? I
When
agree.
he's not working hard, he's playing hard, and he just loves to do that. My wife loves to vacation, so I just got back from vacation yesterday.
Where?
Orlando,
Okay.
just Disney and a small hurricane.
Yeah,
No big
right
deal.
on. I was gonna say, did y'all get some of Debbie down
Yeah,
there?
we got a little something. Wasn't too bad, but
Yeah.
she was my wife is handicapped, right? So
Yeah.
she's got her little scooter.
Okay.
And we're riding through Disney, and we go to that Tron ride.
Yeah.
And she parks her scooter. She takes her key off and puts it on the little lanyard.
Yeah.
And we go on this crazy ride, and then she gets off, and the end of the lanyard is missing, and the key to the scooter went flying.
Oh no.
I hadn't heard this story yet.
It went flying. It like the lanyard broke.
Oh,
it
no.
didn't just come off the ring. The entire lanyard broke.
Yeah.
And we're never finding this key
No.
ever again. We're deep in the depths of Disney World, at Magic Kingdom, and we're like, so I had to hotwire her scooter with a bobby pin. Stuck
No
a bobby
kidding.
pin and basically picked the lock.
And got it to
Sparks
going.
were flying. I'm sitting there with the bobby pin.
Did you
like,
get shocked?
Yeah, it's shot. Sparks are going everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by 100 people, and nobody is saying a word.
Nobody's going, hey man,
Nobody is like,
is
hey,
that
do you
your
need any
scooter?
help? Yeah,
or-
is that your scooter?
Yeah.
I watched you walk up to it and try to hotwire it. Is anything going on? Finally got the thing going, and
I know.
it was
If you just act like you're supposed to be there, you know what you're doing. People generally don't ask,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
yeah. So that was me last week, but
Right on.
Wow. Yeah. That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, that's a good story that nobody knew.
yeah.
That's awesome. Hopefully somebody will come up to you and go, hey man, hot wired any scooters lately?
Well, they got,
Then it got caught. Then the next day, we went into another ride,
Yeah.
bone dry outside. We come out of the ride,
Soaked.
pouring rain.
Oh.
Pouring rain. And we didn't cover up our scooter while we were inside. So the whole thing got rained on.
Oh, no.
And then for the next 24 hours, everywhere she went, the horn was stuck on. So we're going through Disneyland, and it's just like,
This is great.
yeah. So,
Well,
my
they got
gosh.
engaged at Disney World.
yeah.
I'm a Disney fan.
They got a Disney pass, the annual pass, and
Yeah, we got all the things. My wife is a Disney vacation planner.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's her jam.
Now,
We go
did the
there a
kids
lot.
go or just you guys?
No, it was an adult Disney trip, which is very interesting.
I love that. I want to
There's
talk more about that.
That's a whole other podcast on these Disney adults that go to
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a Disney day drinking club that has 1,000 members.
No, I'd be
There's-
part of that.
Now that sounds like my kind of club. I like it.
That's right.
I want to talk to you about. We love
Yeah.
Disney. I mean, of course, we took the kids.
Yeah.
We take them once or twice a year.
Yeah.
The whole time growing up, just Disney nuts. And so, and we always talk about we want to go now, just as adults with us.
Yeah.
And so we got a grandson.
It is a good
so-
time. They've made it a little more adult, centric nowadays.
Yeah.
And you can have a good time.
Right on. We'll talk offline about
Yeah.
that. So next thing is, and I'll do sort of these two together, or you can do them separate, but it's like what inspired you guys to not only get in the restaurant business, but to be owners and want to run and manage, be owner operators. And was there, the next question was, who influenced you guys mostly? And it could be the same, it could be within the same story. Like, oh yeah, I worked for this guy that was just, was just awesome. And I wanted to, spark my interest into owning or whatever it is. But what inspired you guys to want to be owner operators?
Well, my dad was he owned a printing company, and it was called Sheets Printing Company, which was fitting for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I grew up watching the challenges of entrepreneurship, but also him being his own boss.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't want to go into printing, but I kind of caught that bug there.
Yep.
And then I was in restaurants, different ones, maybe 4 years at this one, 2 years at this one,
Sure.
4 years at this one, learning different kinds of management style, and mostly what didn't work, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That didn't work. I'm going to put that, don't do that.
Right.
Do a little bit of this, don't do that.
Right.
And, for me, it was one of my uncles saying, you've been managing restaurants for 10 years. Why don't you do something on your own? And it was not, I didn't need to. Like I was in a good corporate position.
Yeah.
Director. I had a couple different restaurants I was
Doing
working,
well, happy.
doing well,
Yeah.
right, all that.
Right.
But then I kind of caught that bug and decided to do it. So we had known each other. We worked with the same group, and then we worked on another project up in Woodstock. But before we decided to go out on our own, so it was kind of that nesty plunge of, are we going to do this, or are we going to go back to what we were doing before? And we didn't want to do that.
Right.
So it was all in.
No kidding. Yeah, I didn't ask how you guys met.
It was a group down in Buckhead.
Okay.
Yeah,
A restaurant group.
restaurant group.
Gotcha. And y'all work together?
He worked at one restaurant. I worked at the other.
Okay.
We just kind of, we'd see each other in passing, and I had actually left to take another position. I'd been with that company probably 5-6 years, and then I had left to take another position elsewhere up in Virginia Highlands, and he had gotten wind of it, and he said, "Hey, I got something going on.
Yeah.
Would you want to do it with me?" And I was like, that sounds really interesting. So we went and did that. Didn't really pan out the way we thought it was going to. But it set in motion, our partnership, which is, 12 years now.
Yep.
Yeah, right on.
Because you started under the cork tree first, is that correct?
No, Hammocks Trading Company was first.
Okay.
And that was down in Sandy Springs by North Springs High School.
Okay.
A very beachy, casual, flip-flop, right off the Gulf of Mexico, oysters,
Yeah.
sandwich, that kind of deal. Yep. And we ran that for about 10 years. We closed it down a few years ago. Then we opened up under the cork tree. Then Prime 120.
Yep.
Then Roberto's.
I'm very familiar with Prime 120
That's
and Roberto's.
Yeah.
Got your stool.
I was going to say I might be there a lot. both
We appreciate
places,
it.
actually.
Keep them coming.
And so y'all been partners for 12 years.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, it seems like there's sort of a theme, lake life and seafood, oysters and all that. Were y'all in seafood type? I know one of you guys, Jason, was at Red Lobster, the first thing.
Yeah.
Have you always been in a seafood type of environment?
Goldfish.
I would say the majority, probably 80% seafood.
Never really thought about that, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to be a little bit of a theme there. So I thought, and I know it can be, when you get into something and as you sort of are growing up in an industry, you kind of get your sources and your people. And it's, if it's that way, that's the only thing that made me think of it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that people that like seafood.
Yeah.
They like going to those restaurants because
Sure.
not a lot of people like to cook seafood.
Right.
Or know how. That's what I was going to say. Or know
Or
how.
stink
Yeah.
up their kitchen with frying fish or
For
Don't
sure.
know what to buy.
Yeah.
For sure.
What we get is a completely different product than what you go to Costco or Publix or Kroger to get. You
Yeah.
know, it's a completely. It might say grouper, but it's a totally different grade of grouper what we get.
No kidding.
And that freshness is. I mean that's restaurants as a whole.
Yeah.
We get the best produce. We get the best
course.
steaks. We get the best seafood. And
Are y'all getting them direct from the docks or wharfs? or
sometimes we do.
Yeah. Nice.
It's a funny thing, you compare like the seafood restaurant to the steak restaurant.
Yeah.
And people have no problem sitting down and spending $60, $70, $100 on a steak. They're like, it's totally worth it. But
Sure.
then when they go to a seafood restaurant, they go, I'm not spending, how are you charging $38 for this piece of fish? And I go, well,
Here's
if you
how.
really want to know, here's what happened. A fisherman got up one day and he got on his boat and he put $1,000 worth of gas in it and he drove out into the middle of the ocean, which
Yep.
is dangerous and he could die and it's filled with sharks and dangerous things. And he spent
Yeah.
all day out there, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
And he caught some fish and he brought it back and he brought it to the dock and then he sold it to somebody. And then that person put it on a truck and they iced it down and they drove it all the way up to Atlanta. And then that person took that fish and then they filleted it, and then they sent it to us, and then somebody else cooked it and put it on your plate. So now do you think $38 for that is
All of a
too
sudden,
much?
38 doesn't seem.
Seems like a
Doesn't seem
deal.
so
Seems like a bargain. Whereas the farmer goes, out and goes, you know what, we need some steaks. Boom. I got a cow. I got a,
butcher
I
the
got some
cow.
cattle. There we go. That's,
Yeah.
And people don't really realize that,
the logistics of it.
the logistics
and
of
everything.
the seafood.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really, and we're just talking about fish. We're not talking about crab.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Crab, people don't know that crab meat, just pasteurized crab meat is so hideously expensive
Oh yeah.
because they might be catching these blue crabs off the coast of Maryland or whatever.
Sure.
But it's so cost prohibitive for them to pick this crab meat
Yep.
using U.S. labor. So they'll actually take these crabs, put them on a container, ship the container all the way to Vietnam.
Wow.
You are
Will have
kidding
the
me.
people pick the crab meat. They will package it, or not even package it, just
Yes.
loose it, put it on another container, ship it back, and then package it up and sell it to us.
That is
Wow.
incredible
Oh,
to
wow.
me.
But it's $38 a pound.
$38 a pound.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's gone halfway across the world.
Wow,
to
which
get
is-
to you.
yeah,
And
which
people
is
are just
nuts.
like, I
But
don't understand.
something for me when I'm a different animal, so I'm not that person that's going to complain. If I want to eat something in one of your restaurants or another restaurant, I'm going out so that someone waits on me because I don't get waited on ever. I have to do everything because I'm a single person, and I don't care how much it costs in that moment. Now, I choose my restaurant based on my budget, right?
Sure.
But what matters to me more than the cost of the food is the experience and the service.
That's right.
And I feel like not only do you guys, from my personal experience, do a great job with food, but the atmosphere, you guys stopping by to say hello, your staff is great.
Yeah.
So I feel like you do a good job with that too. And you're paying for that experience.
Yeah.
And the food.
Sure.
Well, I will let you on a little training secret, and this is what we tell our employees when they first start with us. There is such a recipe for the perfect experience in a restaurant. And we visualize a three-legged stool, right?
Yep.
And
The old milk stool.
right. And on one of those legs, that is food and beverage, right?
Yep, of course.
The other one is service, and the other one is atmosphere. So if any one of those is not as great as the other one, the whole experience is off.
Absolutely.
And so you really have to try to match the ambiance with the food, with the service.
Yeah.
And it goes across the whole gamut of restaurants, whether it's even a fast casual all the way up to fine dining steakhouse.
Sure it does.
Everything has to mesh well for that perfect experience.
Yeah.
And that's what we strive for. We try to make everything kind of flow like that.
I've only been to Prime 120. I'm looking forward to Under the Cork Tree and Roberto's, but
You'll enjoy. I have not been to Under the Cork Tree yet, but I get emails from their like Succulent Hospitality Group is their like parent company. Is that what you would say?
Yep.
So all the restaurants are under that. So I get their emails, and there's things like I feel like you do bourbon pairings with food is what I've seen Under the Cork Tree.
Oh,
and that's what I
nice.
want to go to. But every time I've gotten it, like I wasn't able to go on that date or
Yeah, we
whatever.
do some fun chef dinners every now and then.
But that looks
fun.
fantastic,
We'll bring in,
and
I
that's
think-
one
Yeah.
of the things I'm interested in
What was the
going
last
to
one we
there.
did? Wild turkey.
I think so.
oh wow,
That was a fun little dinner.
no kidding.
Yeah.
And so we paired a bunch of different, the master distiller's granddaughter came down, and she
For Wild Turkey?
she works she's like a brand ambassador for Wild Turkey. Whatever.
Oh,
she
that's
came down.
fantastic.
That's cool.
And our chefs created a really cool menu that kind of paired with, and each course had a little different
Oh, I love that. I love
Wild
that.
Turkey,
That's awesome.
pour or whatever. It was really
I want to get in
Yeah.
on that. I need
Yeah.
to. Yeah, let's go down. That'll be a good business lunch.
We'll pick those up in the fall.
Those are
again.
dinner, I think.
Yeah, we do
They're
dinners.
dinner.
Okay,
It's a planning
business
Yeah,
dinner.
but whatever.
Business
A
planning,
planning dinner.
But we're doing that hot bourbon when it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're getting it right out of the bottle.
Yeah.
You choose whether you want a little drop of water or a little rock or big
Sure.
rock or however you want
Sure.
it. But you're lining up 4 shots of bourbon
Nice.
to pair and compare contrast.
Right. Right.
I like it.
So it's
That's
a lot of
pretty
fun,
cool.
but everyone comes out with a red face.
Well, that means it was a good experience, right?
Very, very true.
Yes.
Everyone comes out happy.
I'll tell you something that probably a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Is that our Succulent Hospitality is our parent company, and it's a little agave
It's like
plant.
that. Yeah.
And that came about. I have a succulent and cactus collection numbering in like the hundreds.
There you go. There's a unique
And
thing
so that's
that
something
no
people
one
don't
knows
know
about you.
a lot about. Is
Yeah, right on.
I have a big cactus collection and succulents, and I guess it came from living.
I
in
was
the
going to
desert.
say, yeah.
But our first restaurant, the front of it was all just that whole collection,
Interesting.
Oh, that's
decorating
cool.
like the front door, and we had these
Yeah.
pallets that were on the side of the building, and they were all stuffed with cactus and
That's
succulents.
pretty
And
cool.
that's
Yeah.
so succulent hospitality kind of came with that. And if you think about succulent, it kind of can tie into
To food.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's right.
It
Of
course.
does.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a play on words.
I like it. I like how the tie-in, and if you when you
Yeah.
do these things and talk to people enough, you kind of find there's a lot of tie-in.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the history part of it. There's always ties in
Right.
for our stuff. That's cool.
Mistakes for a reason, on some of those things. Like,
Well-
who would know?
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Only you guys.
That's right.
Well, the next question's what's your biggest failures?
Well, we do have a warehouse,
Oh God.
and we do call it the land of broken dreams.
There's a hot
From
dog
all our
machine in
hair,
there.
there's a hot dog machine in there. There's a bingo machine in there. There's
Oh,
a,
bingo.
Interesting.
How old is that Jeep?
Yeah, I've got a
1948 Jeep.
I've got a 1948 Jeep in there.
Wow, a Willie's?
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
You want to buy it?
Maybe. We'll talk offline. I would
I'll
love.
sell
yeah.
it. He won't.
There's just a lot of things that, in business, you have to try a bunch of different things and see what works.
Well, of course.
And you'd be surprised at the things that you think are a no-brainer that flop.
Oh yeah.
And you'd be
I think
surprised at the things that
we
you
realize that.
you'd
went
be
through
surprised at
that
the
too.
things that you don't even think or anybody would ever be interested in, and it's your top seller or it's your top
Sure.
idea or
Yeah.
So, we're constantly evolving and
So what
filling
would the
that
biggest
building
the
up.
warehouse is the biggest failure? What did you?
No,
Just, it's just
he's
filled
saying
with
the-
stuff that we've.
He's saying the corner, of broken dreams, right?
We go, the bingo night didn't work out at Hammock, so just put the bingo machine in the corner.
Dang,
and,
I love bingo.
What's the warehouse for?
It's mostly just holds like paper goods for all the restaurants and
Okay.
and
We each have a computer there, and
yeah, we have a little office in there
Oh,
as
okay.
well. And
Where
it's
where
just
is this?
It's in, I guess that's Marietta, right?
Marietta.
It's right on the cusp of Woodstock and Marietta.
Okay, gotcha.
And we just, we have extra equipment. We need spot for it, ice machine,
Sure.
or a oven, and we just kind of put it in there. But
Gotcha.
but in the restaurant environment, there's no office. Like we said before,
Yeah.
The manager's office in a restaurant probably has a mop bucket in it too.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
it's we want our managers and chefs to be in the kitchen and on the floor.
Of course.
So any restaurant you go to is absent of an office for most.
It,
but
it makes sense.
But you have to have them.
Of course.
So that's a good area for us to kind of, because if I fire up the laptop at Roberto's, I have zero interaction. I mean, I have too much interaction. I have
yeah.
no time to actually complete a thought.
Sure.
Because it's hey.
Of course.
Hey.
Of
Then
course.
somebody walks in.
Yes.
Whatever.
Of course.
So you got to have that space.
So then what would the biggest failure be?
All right. So do you remember when Pokemon came out?
I knew you were going to
Okay.
say this.
Oh no.
So Pokemon was the thing 10 years ago.
The one where you go
You have
to
your
the
phone.
you go and find
People
them
were
or
just
something.
gathering like
Yeah.
it was like the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And I wouldn't call it a failure, but it was me kind of showing my ass to everybody.
I want to hear
it
about
was
that.
it was the Prado is where Under the Cork Tree is down in Sandy
right
Springs.
there off Roswell Road?
Right there on Roswell.
Know where that is. Yeah. My
So
daughter
it
lives
was,
down there.
It was and it's been
What do they
the
call it?
original
Hot spot?
the original Fridays was in there and Taco
Okay.
Max there now.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Anybody that kind of grew up in the area knew the Prado as an entertaining district.
Sure.
So Pokemon came up with this game, and the Prado was a hot spot. So there would be
Now, are you talking about the one where you had to go somewhere? I don't remember it, but you go because there's there and you get points for it if you go there,
There
or
were
something.
hundreds of people gathering in our parking lot.
Pokemon Go.
Go.
Okay.
so anyway.
Okay.
So anyway, the Prado being a
didn't
hot
understand
spot,
it. We never understood
you
it.
could
I don't get it
you
either.
could hang out in the parking lot, and then a real special beast would pop up, and everyone would run to go try and get that beast.
Okay.
Or that Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
The funniest story of the whole thing was when they'd run, there'd be 100 people running from a parking spot to the next area,
Yeah.
and they were filling up our whole lot. Well, this one guy, and they're just staring at their phones the whole time. We have this glass entryway.
Yeah.
This real nice. You got the doors that open up, just a little breezeway.
Sure.
Well, this guy's looking at his phone, running full speed, and
Oh,
doesn't
no.
see our entryway and knocks himself out.
Oh.
He runs out, bam, ends up on the ground, and I'm looking over him, laughing my ass off. and he goes, "What's so funny?" I'm like, "You should have seen yourself. You just knocked yourself out."
Yeah.
But that was right when we first opened Under the Cork Tree, and we were, struggling to get people in. We
Of
were
course.
trying to get the word out.
Sure.
And there were all these people in the way of getting in.
customers
So I was
parking
like,
or
you know
whatever.
what? We're gonna try and sell food to the Pokemon people, and I did it like out of hate, a little bit out of hate, right? So I was serving hot dogs and Cokes and whatever else. We still have the hot dog machine, and we had flags and whatever.
Okay. That's the hot dog
We were
machine
trying
in
to-
the warehouse.
Yeah, we were trying to,
Just capitalize on it a little bit.
and so we made $100 at the end of the day selling hot dogs. I was so mad,
$500 on
So mad.
equipment. and
That's right.
Made $100.
so mad. So I looked at, I looked at property management. And I had the keys to the building in my hand, and I was this close just to
Yeah.
dropping them back in there. But
Yeah.
then it faded, and
Nice.
all good.
Nice.
Had a moment.
Right.
Bought a hot dog machine, and I've told the story now.
It's out there. It's out there in the world.
Pretty good. You can't get it back.
It will be soon. It'll be out in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, you can't get it back now. All right, so let's see.
I was gonna say I don't want to mess up your flow,
Oh,
but
go ahead.
when you're kind of done, like there is one thing in particular that I want them to share, and then I have a question for them.
Okay, then I'll cue you in right after these two.
Yep.
What is the one lesson your job has taught you that you think everyone should know?
It's patience. Patience with people.
Yeah.
Don't say the first thing that comes out of your head, your mouth. Hold back a little bit.
No hold back. That's actually when we liquor you up. You guys are kind of messing the problem up.
I would say if everyone did 2 years in the military and 2 years working in a restaurant, we would all know how to treat people with respect. We would all be organized, and we would treat each other better.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And I think,
Great
you know,
advice.
working in a restaurant might not be your end goal, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's an avenue to get you to your end goal.
Yeah.
But you're going to learn some of the most powerful life lessons working in a restaurant.
For sure.
Dealing with people, dealing with the rush, dealing with teamwork. You can take whatever is happening in that restaurant and apply it to even a Fortune 500 company. That same mentality of, you know, service and organization. And,
For sure.
And so I think that's one of the most important things I want people to know is that, you know, a lot of times people look down on somebody as, you know, oh, you can only
Yeah.
wait tables. That's the only job you can do. But I guarantee you that person that's waiting tables might have more people skills than you do.
Oh, yeah,
And
for
it
sure.
is hard
And it's hard work.
Sure.
I mean, you're on your
Yeah.
feet constantly.
Yeah.
You're exhausted by the end of the shift. You've probably burned yourself. You've dropped things. You may have slipped and fallen and embarrassed yourself. You've got people to deal with and
right.
like sales to make, like
Yep.
up
And
sales
you need
and
a
all the
sense
things.
of urgency,
Yeah.
which is something a lot of people don't have anymore.
For
It's a
sure. No
hard
doubt about it.
industry.
You know, sense
No
of
doubt
urgency
about it.
is a real thing that
Yeah.
people need to understand.
Yep.
And you're going to learn it in the restaurant business.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely.
Well, you had mentioned the team before, you know, the staff and the team
Yeah.
that we have.
They're
Yeah.
great.
You know, we've got the best out there.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And they,
Yeah.
you know, they're the ones that are holding, you know, their partners to the standards that they need to have.
Sure.
Because if they're not there that night and somebody else takes care of you
Yep.
and it's not a good experience, and that's, you know, then you jeopardize the relationship.
Well, and
You gotta hold it together.
How we like I say we because I'm talking about like my group of friends that go to their restaurants on a pretty regular basis. You know, like we have some of our favorites, right?
Yep.
Wait staff and bartenders, and
Yeah.
we look for them. Like
That's right. You
we're like,
follow
hey,
them.
what's your shift? Like,
Right.
when are you
Yeah.
going to be there? Because we're going to come in and spend money at your
love that.
restaurant to see you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, because they make it a good experience.
And they make us look good. They
Yeah.
really do. Our people make us look good.
Of course. Huge reflection.
Yeah.
Or bad.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could start a business tomorrow, other than obviously the restaurant business, what would it be?
Plumbing,
Electrical, AC.
electrical, ice machine
Yep.
maintenance.
Interesting.
Do you know a little bit about how much
All that
money those
stuff.
people make
Well,
now
I mean,
too?
you-
Like based
Well,
on
yeah.
They can make a
pretty
lot of
much
money.
anybody. It's not everybody, but most people that are owners of a restaurant and participate on a day-to-day basis like that, they know how to do a lot of little things. So they're a little bit of a carpenter, a little bit
Sure.
of a plumber, a little bit of a computer person, a little bit of, you know, IT, wiring.
gotta
this,
wear
that,
all
and
the hats.
other. You got to wear all the
Yeah,
hats.
you really do.
Yeah, for sure. So
I think, you know, going back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, the people thing, I think that business-wise, too, I can't think of another business where there's as many moving parts.
Yeah. Well,
From staff to product, you know, if you have a perishable product.
Yeah.
You're not just stocking the shelves with, you know,
Yeah.
Screwdrivers.
carburetors and
Sure.
that can sit there for 20 years. Yeah, I mean, you got to move this product.
There's a sense of urgency. You know, it seems like to me as I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's definitely a business where, you know, whereas a lot of businesses have sort of people that sort of specialize in certain things. Like my daughter's a labor and delivery nurse in Sandy Springs
Bless
at
her heart.
Northside.
I love them.
Yeah, and she loves it. But it's interesting because she's the one that delivers the babies and takes care of the mothers, and they hand it off right away. So she doesn't swaddle. She doesn't even swaddle a baby. People are like, "Oh, you know how to do everything." She goes, "I don't know how to swaddle a baby." You know, when I had my first grandson, you know, she was in the room, and they're like, "Oh, we don't even know. You do $1 million a year." She goes, "Yeah, but I deliver. I do all that." And so most and it's as busy as like you're talking about.
Sure.
But it's hers a specialty thing. That's her gig. And I think a lot of businesses are like that, but the restaurant business is different.
Yeah.
You know, you got somebody who's checking and making sure drinks are good, and then they're running. They have to, you know, your servers have to be managers, and they have to be, you know, kind of sort of cooks on things, you know, a little bit like, oh, is this done this way and that way? It's just everybody has to be bought in and is, like you say, part of the team. Like literally everybody has to kind of know everybody else's job in a very hurried environment. So it is
and I heard Nick Saban say once, like, on a team you got A players and you got C players. And the A players only want to be surrounded by the A players. And the C players, you know, they're C players. But if you put those together, you've got those high functioning individuals and the lower functioning individuals in the same environment. And it's hard to keep those A players happy because they don't want to work with the C players.
Right.
They only want to work with other A players, and they get very frustrated when they have to deal with somebody who doesn't put 110% like they do.
Of course.
And that's something we're always trying to think about is, you know, if we want to attract the best and the brightest and the most talented, you got to put the best, the brightest, most talented with them, or otherwise it's just
what a challenging environment right now along those lines. I would think when it's just hard to get enough people to staff your restaurants. And, you know, do y'all have a process for that, or do y'all have patience to your do you, when y'all are hiring them, do y'all bounce it off each other and goes, I've got to have somebody, this person ain't really what we're looking for, but it's a warm body kind of syndrome?
We talk about that every week.
We talk about it all the time.
Every week.
And I'll tell you what, you know, we were doing pretty well, and then COVID hit.
Of course.
And it rocked our world.
It rocked everybody's world.
It rocked our world. And then, you know, after COVID, even 2 years after COVID, we're just like, please just show up. We'll do half your job for you.
Right.
But please just show up to work. And now I think, you know, we're seeing that sort of things are coming back to
you can start doing those management, those leadership things, and the quality training.
Well, and it's different between departments. So Prime 120, you know, that's a sought after serving bartending job.
Yes.
So we have 20 applications a week. Like 20 a week.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
For sure.
And then but for cooking we might have one a week.
Right.
Or one a month.
Right.
You know, so that's very different.
And it's a supply and demand, right? And a quality ratio.
And you can't take the server and go, hey, we need you in the kitchen today, because they don't have the same skill.
Oh, for sure.
And vice versa. Right?
No doubt. No doubt.
Two very different things.
Right.
And you know, there's another disparity that's, you know, it really hits restaurants hard sometimes, which is, you know, you have on one end, you have take a waiter from Prime 120. That waiter can make $70,000 a year. And they work 5 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
Waiting tables.
Right.
And then you've got, you know, a cook who's sweating, working hard.
Right.
And used to make $15 an hour.
Right.
You got $70,000 a year, $15 an hour, same environment.
Right.
You know, and you know, that's a balancing act. That
Huge
some
disparity.
restaurants are trying to fix that.
Right.
But you know, time will tell how that all pans out.
Sure.
At our restaurants, we have the ability to even things out a little bit, right?
Well, you're small enough.
We don't have as much variance between an hourly and, you know, the server.
Well, it's nice because you're small enough. I mean, when you hit a certain scalability, things have to get very corporate.
That's right.
You know, and so
we want to get up to that edge and stop.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. That was my next question. It's not in my notes, but on that business development side, where do y'all want to go? I mean, do you, like you said, do you want to stay in a sweet spot? I'm a custom builder,
Yep.
and I'm small. I have grown and had project managers, and I'm a realtor as well. And I had a team of realtors working with me at one point, and I didn't like it. I like being an owner operator. There's a sweet spot for me. So you either got to really scale, you got to hit plateaus that suck, and then you're big time.
Sure.
Or you're there. Are y'all kind of where you want to be, or do y'all want to eventually be scalable?
Well, I think
to
that the dream has it changes, not day to day, but year to year,
based on age and
That's
wisdom
right.
and
and all sorts of things.
yeah,
So,
sure.
when we opened Hammocks Trading Company 12 years ago, 13 years ago, it was survive that, right?
Yeah.
And then so now we have the 3 restaurants, but we're expanding Prime 120. We have Oishi, which is sushi bar and noodles,
Okay.
on the horizon this year. And we
Okay.
have Kung Fu Bar, which is all in the Adair Park area.
Oh, great.
That was actually, I'm jumping ahead for a moment, but he's leading right into what one of my questions
Well,
was.
go ahead and ask.
Was just, how do you, once you finish your thought, how do you guys come up with your concepts? I mean, Prime 120 is a very upscale, I feel like, steakhouse, right? So that, it's not hard to figure that one out. But like, I like Roberto's in Woodstock. Like, that's different than what we have here. And then, like, if we do Kung Fu Bar and Oishi, and
Well,
like, those things are different.
I mean, we're also customers and guests as well.
Sure.
So we have the same question that everybody else has of
Yeah.
where are we going to eat tonight?
Yeah.
Now, Prime 120, when we opened that, it was a need for a steakhouse in downtown Woodstock.
Agreed.
And as we polled our friends and polled the neighbors, it was what do we need in downtown Woodstock, and it was a steakhouse or a sports bar. Well, we chose steakhouse.
Right on.
Right. And then there was a need for an oyster bar, so in come Roberto's. The sushi bar Oishi is going to be on the top floor of the building on Linton Street in Adair Park.
Yep.
So that's got a beautiful view. It's a small space. It's only going to fit maybe 50 people.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
but
going to be real.
Will it be reservation only, or is it going to be
there's no
first come,
telling.
first serve?
There's no telling.
We let our
Just
customers tell
curious.
us.
No, you really
Just
you
curious.
really don't know because that's right.
I would say
and-
we definitely listen to our customers. You know, when we opened Roberto's, we thought, you know, we don't have enough seats here
Yeah.
to go reservation
Reservation.
only, and they very quickly told us that they wanted reservations. They didn't want to wait in a line of 30 people on Friday night at 7:00.
Yeah,
they wanted
for sure.
to be able to walk in with a reservation. So we quickly pivoted on
Yeah,
that one, and
smart.
you know, we always go, what does the neighborhood need? What do they want?
Right.
And how can we be the one that, you know, I think any business really, any good business will you know.
Well, you come up with a plan, you do the best research you can, you put it out there, and then if you're smart, you sort of let the business take it where it needs to
Well,
go.
I mean, anybody can come up with the greatest product in the world, but if nobody wants it, then what are you
Yeah.
doing?
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
We've
You gotta-
experienced that in
you
a
gotta have
different
something that
way.
people-
We
but
have.
We have
We have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The greatest thing for me is, you know, piles of cash is great. I love making money. That's
course.
wonderful. But really, for me, the ultimate satisfaction is walking into all of our restaurants and seeing a butt in every seat.
Yeah, right on.
Yep.
Because that's validation to me that people want what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I try to instill that in, you know, our managers and chefs. Like, you know, I've seen 1,000 chefs be the best chef in the world and make the
course.
greatest food in the world, and then go out of business a year later because nobody wanted what they were
Yeah.
producing.
Yeah,
you
you
have
bet.
to produce something that something wants, and I think that that's
Well, what I like
made us
about
successful.
what I hear you saying, and I always think that success is, you know, live the process. You talked about Nick Saban and all these championship coaches. They don't worry about the score. They never worry about the score.
Sure.
They worry about the process, the plays. Because if you're running the plays and executing and doing things right,
It'll
you're
come
going to
together.
score.
That's right.
You know, and-
Fundamentals.
But yeah, you rarely hear a coach talk about we're going to score 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals this time. Why they don't? I'm going to score as much as I can based on this process, or I'm going to have to change this process.
Right.
And that's what you say. If you're filling up and doing the right things, the process, then
The money will follow.
Yeah, the
you
money will
know,
follow.
Yeah.
So did you want to ask something outside of that?
I did, but I see your notes, so that's going to be covered.
Okay. So yeah, I was gonna say, tell me what the sushi bar, what the name of it is.
Oishi,
Can you
which
spell
means
that?
delicious
Ah,
in Japanese. Oishii. Yeah.
Oish.
Do you know when that'll be opening?
Probably within the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, great.
Design's all finished. It's with the architects and
Okay.
the city and all that. So we're going through all that, jumping through all those hoops.
Of course.
Yep.
We're not putting a 48-foot hood in this one, so
Yeah.
it shouldn't be as big of a challenge.
That's good.
You laugh. It
Oh,
was
that was-
intense.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was
I'm
intense. It was
also a
an
light
engineering
commercial.
feat.
Well, I'm a light commercial builder, so I've done restaurant spaces, and I bet the fire marshal just loved you. And
It was an experience.
oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
We're really used to sort of second, third generation space where, we let somebody else spend 170 grand on the hood system and
Sure.
then go out of business or move, and then we
Yeah.
come in and we get it for free.
Right.
And so Roberto's was really our first foray into
Yeah.
new construction, which is a whole
a lot to it.
animal. I mean,
It's a lot
It's
to it.
beautiful, though. I mean, I think it's a beautiful restaurant. I really
it's
like
unique
it.
for sure. It is a really fun space
Yeah.
to be in because
It's
you're
very open. Like the kitchen's fully open in the middle of the restaurant.
Nice.
Everything's light and bright. Like
We've
I
got
think it's
28
really
bar
beautiful.
stools that sit around the kitchen.
No
so you're sitting in
kidding.
a bar stool and you're watching the guy make your food.
That's
I mean, it's
fantastic.
the
Which is really cool.
quintessential oyster bar.
I can't think
when
of
you
really
go
too
to, if you're up in if you're in Manhattan or you're in Charleston and you're going to, those oyster bars,
Yeah.
where you're sitting at the bar and they're shucking them for you.
That's fantastic.
That's 50% of our seats.
Where do your oysters mostly come from?
It's all over they're all United States, but well, I'd say it's North America.
Gotcha.
So from Canada all the way down the East Coast, around the Gulf, up to the West Coast.
Okay. So
We have
all
9
over.
different oysters every day,
Nice.
and they swap out.
I thought
we
I
print
knew all
that
the
menu
different
every day.
oysters, But I mean, we're getting oysters I've never even heard of.
No
I've been in
kidding.
the restaurant business 35 years. I never knew that there was a.
I
I
had
think
no
there's a
idea.
marketing thing in there
yeah.
somewhere.
Sure.
Well, I figured there were different sort of species, but I never knew what they were or anything like that.
It's really like a West Coast species and an East Coast species, if you want to boil, or in a Gulf. Those are the 3 main regions where you would get oysters
Okay.
from.
Yeah, yeah.
I personally like the ones from like the upper Northeast.
yeah.
They have like a higher salinity content. The
Interesting.
water up in that area, believe it or not, has a higher salt content.
Interesting.
So if you get like a Malpec or a, something like that from like Nova Scotia
Yeah.
and up in that area, they're a little bit saltier, a little bit brinier.
Interesting.
of like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The ones from the Gulf, Florida,
Yeah.
that area, Louisiana, Texas. I'll eat those typically with like on a cracker with some hot sauce and cocktail sauce.
Sure.
Because the oysters themselves don't have that much of a unique
Gotcha.
flavor profile.
Right
so
on.
Just, my favorite way to eat those is you do a saltine cracker.
That's how
the
I eat those.
oyster. Then you do our cocktail sauce. And then hot sauce,
Yep.
horseradish.
I'm hungry.
So good.
Everybody just got hungry, right?
That
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
That's how we get them down where I used to hunt. We would they'd get just burlap sacks of them and bring them up and eat them exactly and from the Gulf. So probably that same reason because it's just better to eat them that way.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
So growing up, we would take that burlap sack, and we'd dump the oysters into a cooler, and put maybe 12 of them on a charcoal grill,
Yeah.
and put the burlap sack back on top, and
Yeah.
let them pop open.
Right on. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
With some beer.
that's right. And I was 12. I would sneak the beer.
Even better.
Maybe that was my first
I was gonna
restaurant
say,
experience.
Right?
now it's coming out.
There it goes.
There it's coming out. All right, guys. Well, listen. Now, what I want to do is we're kind of getting ready to wrap it up. I want to let you guys do a shout out, and you sort of have a little bit, but do sort of a shout out of what you guys got coming up, like the sushi bar and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm sorry.
One thing before. 'cause
Yeah,
it's a great story.
It's true. That's true. And it's
story
on my
of
notes.
Roberto.
Yes.
Yeah, let's hear.
Because I love
Roberto.
it. I loved it when he told us.
She
about
alluded to it.
Let me
Yeah.
tell? Let me tell.
Go for it.
All right. So Roberto was one of our very first employees when we opened our very first restaurant, Hammocks.
Yep.
And he was a dishwasher, but he was also the oyster shucker. And every night he would shuck 10 cases of oysters, which is, 1,000 oysters.
It's a lot.
He had muscles, just.
I mean, I'm talking
huge
about
muscles,
Popeye.
like just.
Popeye forearms.
Yeah.
Like the guy at Baskin Robbins that has a giant forearms.
He was, in his 40s when he first started working for us. I think he was 50 something when he did pass away of COVID.
Okay.
On
Early on.
Mother's Day of 2020.
No kidding.
Yeah, rocked our world.
I guess so.
It really it was in the middle of nobody knows what's happening.
Right.
We're all scared.
Of course.
And unfortunately he passed away, and he was just the greatest employee. He was one of those employees that we joke around that if I pulled up with a body in the back of my truck and I said, "Hey, Roberto, take care of this," he'd be like, "Okay, boss."
Yeah.
No
And that was the
questions.
last you'd ever
yeah.
last you'd ever hear of it.
Right.
Done
Done
and
deal.
he'd move on. He just
Super
did it.
loyal
and he'd
guy.
do it with a smile and be he was always whistling, and
He would the whistle.
he would always whistle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
He had the most luxurious black ponytail. I was jealous of it. Anyway, so
You were.
I was, yeah.
Heard.
Anyways, so when we decided we were going to open a new restaurant, we said we want to shout out, especially when we knew it was going to be an oyster restaurant. We
Sure.
wanted
Yeah.
to shout out to Roberto, so we called it Roberto's Deluxe.
Nice.
And if you go in, go to the bar,
Yep.
look to the left,
Okay.
and his picture is on the
Yep.
wall.
Ah.
I loved that story when Jason told us about. I say us again, like my whole group of friends hang out
Yeah.
there. So I thought it was really cool, like to honor like
That's
one
right.
of your first employees
That's
who
right.
was very loyal.
I
Yeah.
can still hear him whistling.
That's right.
It tells a lot about who
Nice.
you guys are. I feel like that story
For sure.
and your thoughts around it.
But we
Love
love
it.
our, we love
Yeah.
our people,
Yeah,
and we do invest
yeah.
a lot in them. And,
Right on.
It's
And
getting
so,
harder
okay.
and harder the more we get.
And
That's
now you can carry on. Okay,
Thank you.
now you can do your wrap up.
Yep. And I had it, and I skipped right over it. I told you I'm clunky on
Oh,
this.
that's
isn't
all
it?
right.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do a shout out. What do you guys got going on? Just talk about what's happening. Now, you can do it however you want. Like, you got something special going on at each of the restaurants, or
I mean, there's
opening
just it's just very alive. Roberto's is in its third month, going on its fourth month, so we're still very new.
Yep.
We've talked about constantly tweaking and doing things there, but
Sure.
that menu will it basically changes daily. So
Why is that?
just depending on what's fresh.
Okay.
You look at seasonal vegetables and produce. That's
Yeah.
whatever the chefs can get their hands on that's cool
Yeah.
is gonna be on the menu. So it might be
Right on.
mushrooms if it's mushroom season.
Okay. Based on market, whatever they
Yeah.
can get. That's what
Yeah,
it's
and then we have we have these oyster kettles. It's these little steamer
Yeah.
devices that how many restaurants in the country have them? Maybe 5.
Maybe.
They're very rare.
Super cool.
But
Nice.
that's what we cook, mussels and clams and cioppino. Cioppino's real popular, like an Italian fish stew with scallops and mussels and clams
Okay.
and all that. But the chefs are talking about how to use those kettles differently and do some low country boil or do some.
Great.
I even heard crawfish.
Nice.
So
Oh, that'd be great.
When it's coming.
so anyway, so that's on the board there. The upstairs at Prime 120 is getting close to completion, so that'll open up.
Oh, what's going on there?
It's just more space. It's a larger room for private events.
Okay.
So I think we'll be able to fit up to 50 people.
Nice.
With its own little private bar up
Is
there.
it going to be open daily or just for events?
Well, just like everything, it will evolve with what the business
It'll evolve.
shows.
I mean, it'll
Sure.
probably come in handy during the wintertime when, we lose 50% of our business. Not
Because
our
of-
business.
because
but,
of the outside
but
bar
our
and
seating.
patio.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, because the
50%
patio.
of our available seating goes away.
Of course.
And so it'll be nice to
Oh,
have
that's
that upstairs
fantastic.
area to,
For sure.
utilize for regular
There's
service.
a
if we need to.
huge market though in Woodstock for a place to go for a presentation or a dinner.
Sure.
That's
There
more
is.
than 30 people. Like we already have the biggest space at Prime 120
Yeah.
at 30, but this will be up to 50, and it'll have
That'll
its
be
own
nice.
private bar. So when we're done,
Nice.
we're going to have 8 bars in downtown Woodstock.
That's awesome.
Which, if you know downtown Woodstock, the bars are very popular.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Know it well.
Right?
I may have visited all of
Do y'all
them.
know where our office is? Right behind Mad Life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're familiar. So up there, well, I was thinking too, what a great place because you're right next to the flower shop as well.
Yep.
So I would think there would be some kind of tie-in collab or something for,
Easy.
hey, easy. Hey,
Easy.
hey, we offer this if people are coming in and have weddings or
Yeah.
and
You'd be
And
surprised how many people want to get married at our steakhouse. It's really wild.
Really?
Really?
we just
My
don't
wife
have
does
the
all. My
space.
wife does all the event planning.
Yes, I
Fascinating.
did know that.
And
Yes.
I mean, we had one event. They came in, and we had no idea it was a wedding. They just said we want to do an event. We want to bring people. It was, I think it was 25 people or something like that.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, a preacher walks in. They got married in the dining room. We didn't even know it was a wedding.
No
They
kidding.
never once even told us it was a wedding.
You're
They
like,
just-
you should have told us. We would have done
Yeah,
a little
that's
special
right. That's
something.
it.
Yeah.
But you know.
But they
so-
wanted it that way. So
Yeah,
cool.
and we got that beautiful patio with all
That's
all
fantastic.
The patio
flowers and all
is
that. When it's
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's
it
a great
is.
place to
pretty
be
out
when
there.
it's
Yeah.
not 100 degrees.
I was going
out,
to say,
but-
maybe not right now in August.
Yeah.
I go. I
You
go
do,
all
but
year
you're
round.
cold
I'm,
all year round.
I'm not a normal person though, so that's okay.
But that outdoor bar, we got Michael Jackson in town this weekend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Not the real Michael Jackson, but
I was
the
going to
a
say.
cover.
cover.
That would be something nobody knew.
And, well, that's the Downtown
That's the free
Woodstock
concert.
concert.
Okay.
So there'll be 15,000 people down there for that.
Sure.
And we have that outdoor bar at Prime 120 that no matter what, once the sun goes down,
Yep.
people flock to that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they get
Well,
the
it's
espresso
awesome,
martini.
yeah. Oh
Right on.
yes.
Espresso
Well, 'cause
martini.
I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe your restaurant, Prime 120, is the only restaurant where you can get a real espresso, like fresh espresso martini. And I know sometimes they brew it ahead so that it's easy to make, but like
It's been
you
famous.
make it in house, right? And
Yeah.
They are good.
the other restaurants have some kind of cold brew something, but it's not real espresso.
Yep.
There is a definite difference.
I've tried
You
it.
know,
It's good.
right?
I have tried them all.
Espresso martini, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down.
I have tried them all, and yours is the best at Prime 120.
Awesome.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, it's the bourbon selection. If you've ever been there,
Oh, yeah, it's
is-
huge.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Love the bar.
think of another bourbon selection.
This has big.
Yeah,
I think there's
over-
340 different whiskey selection.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I can't keep up with them all. People will
Yeah.
ask me questions, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
there's 300 choices.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't possibly have
Yeah.
tried them all.
Right.
It's not like
You
it
know?
used to be. You know, you had a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
brands with
Right.
a few selector or whatever, you know, and
Yep.
now it's with microbreweries and everything else. So.
Well, you know,
keep track
one
of-
other thing I wanted to tell people about was our little bourbon club that we have too.
Yep.
So it's a little membership.
Yeah.
What's a membership?
2,000.
2,000 a year,
Okay.
right? And you get a little coin
Yep.
that you're a member,
Nice.
and it's you can use it at all our restaurants.
Nice.
And when you come in and you put that coin down on the bar, your first drink is on the house.
All right. I like it.
So I mean, if you want to drink 360 days, we're open 360 days out of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
You could technically come in and get it. I mean, it pays for itself,
Mm-hmm.
well
Just
over.
in that. Yeah.
But then have other perks too, which is some priority seating thing. You know,
Oh,
if you
cool.
don't happen to have a reservation, you walk in, put your
It's kind of like a
coin
VIP
down, go-
club.
Yeah,
it is.
kind of is, and it's just a bunch of pals of ours who and we've really got to know them real well over the past year or so.
Okay.
And you get priority invite to those bourbon dinners.
Oh,
and
sure. Yeah,
stuff
that's
like
great.
that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's really cool. How many members do we have right now?
By 20.
Yeah,
Nice.
Okay, that's awesome.
so it's pretty cool. It's
I'm not
just
trying to tell the whole. Well, you just did.
I just told
Oh.
the
But
whole world.
anyway, that's okay.
Well,
It's out there.
there's actually a couple of plugs that I wanted to do for you guys as someone who comes into your restaurants. One is if someone is concerned about the price of Prime 120, like for dinner, because that is sometimes out of people's budget,
Sure.
come in for brunch.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday and Sunday brunch is fantastic. They even have a steak and eggs on the menu. It's much more affordable than coming in and ordering a steak dinner.
Own that chicken biscuit.
Right. Oh, and the chicken biscuit
Golly.
is, yes, it's very popular. It's delicious. And then,
Chick-fil-A who?
okay, no, you can't talk bad about God's chicken.
I eat it 4 times a week.
My wife
talking
calls
trash.
their sweet tea Jesus juice.
Right? I mean, God's chicken and Jesus juice. I mean, I don't know. And then at Roberto's, you've just started opening recently over the last couple weeks for lunch on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's right.
And then remember happy hours.
Happy hour
Tuesday through Thursday.
through Friday, 4 to 5.
There you
Nice.
go. So those are things like,
Yeah.
just to wrap up, like also remind people,
Yeah.
yeah,
Shout
check
out.
them out. They're delicious. Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks,
great.
guys.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for
was
coming
fun.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Maybe we'll do it again, and I'll try not to be as clunky and awkward. Maybe
We got through it.
We got through it. So, but thank you guys, and
Thanks for having us.
yeah, look forward to seeing you guys around Woodstock.
Thanks.
You can't miss us.
All right.